Hey everyone, it's Friday, and I'm TSG BigTime, and you're listening to BigTime GameCast episode Deuce. Today I have a few interesting things I'd like to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode. I have a very, very special guest today.
Hi. Hello.
Goes by the name of KidCleaver.
Yeah.
Or Alexander Jackson. He is host of The Wasted Years, his own podcast. Which is
That's
pretty
right,
awesome. Do you got a link for that?
You know what? I think it's just The Wasted Years on Podbean. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm gonna set up a YouTube for it. Like, I'm not really worried about the exposure right now, and that way I'll get all my ducks in a row later. I'm only 2 episodes into, so I wouldn't worry too much about speaking a link out. But thank you.
Well, I was just wondering.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. No, I do appreciate that.
Well, for those of you who are listening to me on YouTube, you can find me at Podbean at tsgbigtime.podbean.com. You can find me on Twitter at BigTimeTSG.
Boom.
And bon.
Sorry,
Yes,
it's just
no
natural.
Bod. And
It's the Bod podcast.
Bod podcast, basically. This is why we started it, right? And you can also catch my streams over at Mixer. It's mixer.com/TSG_BigTime.
Good stuff there. I've been watching for years now. I think like one of my favorite streams of yours was the Resident Evil 7 one. Man, that was good.
That was such a good game.
Oh yeah, really. Like, it really was. Like, I bought it recently and I was just like, fuck, why did I buy this? Because I don't even think I could handle it. I can only watch you play it. I think I sorry to just jump in here, but I think I draw the line at like bees exiting a woman's groin area. Do you know what I mean? It's just too much for me at that point. You know,
it was honestly a really sick game. Both like it was sick, like awesome, and it was pretty disturbing, I have to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was very happy with the return to the old. Well, the old. I mean, it's next gen Resident Evil, but return to kind of like the classic horror that they had going.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it wasn't like an action game, right? Like 5 and 6, and
no, definitely not. But that's a conversation for another day.
It is. Yeah.
So today we have a few news items I want to talk about. The game that came out this week that I haven't had a chance to play yet, but I believe you did.
I did, yeah.
So that works out well. And last week I said that I was playing some Gears 4 after the Gears 5 tech test. And I was like, man, I really got to finish the Gears 4 campaign. I got stuck on insane difficulty on Act 3 or some garbage. And I just never got around to picking it up again. I don't know why. But anyway, I finally finished it, so I'm going to talk a little bit in depth about that, give a review, and my thoughts. I warn you all in advance. Sorry, Alex.
No, I know.
I'm going to spoil a little bit. But Gears 5 is coming out in September, okay? So if you're not caught up, it's your own goddamn fault, okay?
Yeah, I would agree, yeah. Like in the pre-show notes, you were saying like, hey, listen, I'm going to sort of connect a few dots here, rip spoilers. And I was like, oh, God, I'm not being on the pod, so let's just do it, I guess.
Okay, so we'll jump right in with the news. I guess I'll start... Like I said previously last week, I'm not trying to be a game journalist or I'm not trying to be IGN or anything like that. Just we started these podcasts because we've had even stopped playing video games and sat in party chats, just talking for hours about life, about video games, about media, about all the wasted years. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Oh, thank you. Nice plug. Nice, beautiful plug. High five. I'll hit you back later.
But yeah, so that's why we decided to do it to begin with. And like I said, there's some stories in the industry that I've always thought that are worth talking about. They're sometimes controversial. We don't always see eye to eye and agree on it, and that's okay. That's what makes it interesting. And
that
fun.
Is, yeah.
So item 1, I'm just going to start with it. I didn't get the actual file because I didn't read into it because everyone's talking about it. But I just think it's funny. Last week I talked about Ninja joining Mixer and stop streaming on Twitch. That brought in like huge numbers to Mixer. Like I said, I watched day one, but even still, like I think he's streaming right now. I think he was playing Halo. He was playing a Halo. I don't know what he was playing.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Oh, weird.
I think it was Master Chief Collection. I think it was like Halo 2 Anniversary,
Okay.
but I didn't open it up to see fully. But he was definitely playing Halo.
Huh.
And he was at like almost 30,000 viewers on a Friday.
Wow, that's
at like 4 o'clock. So
that's pretty impressive, right?
yeah. And apparently, like just Mixer subscriptions and streaming has gone up by I think it was 83%. I heard just like and that's just in this last quarter. That's not just because of Ninja, but he obviously fucking helped.
Well, yeah, he did a big number on I think that day too, because if I recall a tweet, it was like, "Yo, Mixer is #1 app download on iPhones right now." Like, what?
Yeah,
that day that he switched, right? That day that he made that announcement.
mm-hmm. It was #1 in the App Store, and I believe I think he hit his record for followers and views at one time. I believe
Okay.
he is on his Mixer debut was the biggest streamer ever to date. And I think he already held that spot, right? Probably Dr. Disrespect is
right. I do think Ninja has it on Twitch. Yeah, I think at that prior to this, he had that hold on that. Yeah, I think so. Anyway.
Yeah. So he even beat his numbers, and so
yeah,
good for him. Good for Mixer. Good for Microsoft. If you want to know more, check out last week's episode. But as things get popular, obviously things start to come out, and this is just a weird. I don't know if you heard anything about it, but there's a lot of female Twitch users. It just happens to be female Twitch users who I know that sounds like I'm coming off sexist, but they are female. Whether they're Twitch or Mixer, okay, they're primarily Twitch who want to move over to Mixer or thought about moving over to Mixer, and they're really upset with their apparently very archaic dress codes. I don't know if you heard anything about this.
Really? No, I had no idea about this.
Okay, so if you go to the Mixer website, you can read their rules about streaming. There's actually like a almost 3-page document on what you can wear and how it brings your stream from rated E for everyone, T for teen, or M for mature.
Wow, I had no clue.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of people who are positive about it, but think they should revise it anyway. But then there's a lot of people who I think are just kind of like butt sore that that Ninja moved from Twitch, and I don't know if Twitch is giving them money. I don't know the analytics behind it, but like there's a lot of people on the Twitter sphere right now who are like, "Oh, Mixer's sexist," and they go into very descriptive. Any kind of cleavage throws you into mature. So if you're like if you like, people's biggest complaint is that if I live in Florida in the middle of summer, I can't wear like a spaghetti strap without being rated mature. Which if you're a streamer who wants to hit a everyone crowd or a teen crowd, even it becomes you have to restrict your dress code kind of thing, right? And they talk about how men can't be shirtless and stuff too. Obviously, this implies women more so, which is where the sexism remarks come from.
Definitely.
And I understand it. I do think they're going overboard a little bit.
With the dress code, you mean? Or
both sides. The policies are very like archaic in the sense like if you remember back like in high school there was a dress code that this day and age doesn't get followed. If you remember back before that when our parents were in high school there was a dress code, like that would seem like nuns to this day's standard, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
And I don't know, women fought for years to be able to express themselves. Men can do it, why can't women do it? I understand that. And I understand that point of view, and I do think they should be revised to be more accepting, maybe.
Right, like more open-minded, you mean? Like less
more 2020 and not the 1800s.
Well said.
But I honestly think that this is in a certain respect, though, I do believe Mixers is making the right call because Twitch, before it became Twitch, when it was Justin TV, I don't know if you remember back in those days.
I do, yeah.
It was a lot of cam girls, and a lot of them moved over to Twitch and became game streamers. And I mean, as you know, there's I don't know who it is, but there's that one streamer who is like selling her bathwater.
Oh yeah, oh my god, yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, there's a lot of these girls who are being revealing for the sake of being revealing. It's not because they want to be free. They're doing it because it helps them get followers and subscribers. And if you want to do that, that's fine. But they have to understand that Mixer is separating the streams so that you have your rated E for everyone, so it's child safe, safe for work. And whether or not it's accepted and you should be free to wear that stuff yourself, I fully agree. Be free to express yourself. But that doesn't mean you should walk into a preschool and be showing your tits and your camel toe. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, definitely. There is like a line I think where it's like, you don't want to like push the legal side of it too far. You don't want to push the envelope too far. But I guess they think that Mixer is a bit too harsh on it, like you say, right? So there is going to have to be a middle ground there somewhere. But like again, too, it's like even when there's not necessarily like a dress code or things like that, the amount of people that watch Twitch for the attractive people that they're attracted to and donate for that reason or whatever, it's pretty dang high, right? So like you'll look at streamers like Alinity and stuff like that on Twitch, where I'm not sure what the rules are, but I don't think they're as strict as Mixers. She'll do like Dance Dance Revolution, or somebody will do like an ASMR stream that's like vaguely sexual at times. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of been in the industry. It's kind of been in the process, and it's like, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's like more than clothes. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and because it's more than clothes, this is only like a quarter of that battle, or the quarter of that issue. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I think that Mixer's taken a good stance on it. I do think that they will and are going to revise how it's worded and how they go
Mm-hmm.
about it. But I do think that they're taking the right approach to it. That, like I said, I'm not against any of this. I recently just set my stream to teen, but it's been mature the entire time. Just because I have a loud mouth and have a very hard time keeping my words contained.
Like
And
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not a mean person, and I don't
No.
mean disrespect, but I
Right.
understand how a 12-year-old who might be watching me play Apex might be extremely offended or learn words that he's never heard of before because I'm talking a certain way. So I understand that, and
Exactly.
I respect that. And like I said, there's a lot of people who are positive about it. Like, well, Mixer's taking a stance to make sure that Mixer stays a positive community. And if you want the more mature content, you can do it. But make
Right.
sure you're of that age. Whereas you're not exposing necessarily, just using Ninja as an example, if Ninja was a
Right.
woman and you're not exposing 23,000 14-year-olds to something they probably don't see on a daily basis.
Right.
So I understand why the rules are there. I do think that they should be revised. I don't think they'll be
Right.
strongly revised. I'm kind of happy that they're there, and there's a lot of people who are happy they're there. But there is a lot of outbursts about. There's a lot of people trying to boycott Mixer because of it, and I
Mm-hmm.
honestly think that's people who are butt sore or lost follower subscribers
Mm-hmm.
when Ninja went to Mixer instead of Twitch. I could
Right.
be wrong.
Exactly.
I could
Because
be
there was like a
wrong.
groundswell there, right, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like suddenly the tectonic shift, like the topography of Mixer is absolutely just changed at that point, right?
Yeah,
So they would naturally be like concerned about their status as streamers on Mixer at that point.
yeah,
I would, I
about
would, I would
their
think.
potentially their, for a lot of them it could be their full-time job, so I understand
Totally.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't know if, I mean, this is the world we live in now with the internet anyway. But I'm not so
Right.
sure trying to saying boycott Mixer is necessarily the way to go. I do believe Mixer will revise them and edit them as they go. I mean, Mixer, as far as a streaming service goes, is not new, but is fairly new compared to Twitch, and they still have a lot of growing to go through. And
Right.
I think that it's good that they put kind of strict guidelines in place, and they can evolve as they go, as the world changes, as the times change. They can work on it, but I think to make sure that they're protecting younger viewers, potentially virgin viewers, whether you're young or not, it's and
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same as you think about work harassment. You don't have to be a child to be sexually harassed in a sense. I mean, some people will say
Definitely.
you
Yeah.
don't have to you don't have to go and watch somebody's channel if you don't approve of them. or you don't like it. But how do you know if you haven't watched it? You can just stumble into something that you might totally be offended by. I wouldn't be surprised if people stepped into my thing and were totally offended by
And thought
the
that,
things
yeah.
I said. It's how it is.
Right.
And that's why I think it's important those guidelines are there. Anything to
For
add?
sure. For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that strikes me as interesting is that you down throttled to teen. Do you want to talk about that a bit? Like what went into that thought process? I have a few more things I want to dig into after that, but I just wanted to stop there and be like, you went from mature to teen on your mixer?
I went from mature to teen
Okay.
because I'm trying to better myself as a person.
So you think the guidelines are good for you on like a moral level?
I
That's
don't know.
good.
I mean,
That's
at the
good. I
same
like
time,
that.
it might be bad because maybe I won't be able to contain myself, and now I'll just get myself banned on Mixer.
Maybe you'll just
But
get into trouble. Yeah, it's possible.
it's possible, yeah. But but I've been streaming since 2017, and I mean I
Right.
have like a solid 73 followers, and I think I have a lifetime viewership of 2,100 or something, which
Right.
I'm happy with considering I've never really like advertised myself or whatever.
Right. Like you didn't put any like elbow grease into
That's
it in
right.
terms of like
That's right.
mechanics and shit. Yeah.
But now I'm trying to with the with the podcasts and all
Yep.
that. I'm trying to kind of solidify my accounts and get the word out there, get a donation going with PayPal and all that.
Right.
Just because it is what I love to do, so why not share what I love to do with people? And some people will like what I do, some people won't like what I do.
Right.
And am I going out there to say I want this to be my full-time job? Am I going out there to say I want to make money? Am I going out there to say I want to be bigger than Ninja? No, it would be awesome. I would love all these things, but I do
Of
this
course.
because this is what I love to do. I love to play
Mhm.
video games. I've been streaming since not Podbeam, since Beam.
Free plug. Free
Before
plug for
Mixer was
Podbean.
Beam. Before Mixer was Mixer, it was Beam. I have, like we were talking about it yesterday, I have a freaking founder's badge from Beam.
Oh
And I've been
yeah.
streaming
Shit.
on it since then, and I've streamed on Twitch before too, and it's just something I like to do. I think you and I started. Well, you streamed before I did, but I think what really started me streaming was we were playing Dead Rising 3 together,
Yep.
and I think we streamed the whole game in
Yeah.
episodes or whatever. We had like probably 20 or so episodes, but
Yep.
it was a good time, and that's what I like to do. So I made the move because I'm trying to contain myself, and I also it's from a business perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to make myself bigger, I'm trying to make a change that might make me more approachable, I suppose.
Right.
Because you have to
Accessible, more
understand, like,
popular.
more accessible too. Because like I was watching Ninja's first stream, and like I said, oh man, on day one when he hopped in, his bot or him, whoever, I'm sure it was already pre-programmed, took like 100 people at random out of the chat and started hosting them. And it's
Wow.
huge to have somebody like that host a nobody
Oh, absolutely.
on Mixer. Like, that's huge. And
Yeah.
I wonder, because Ninja is a teen stream, if that automatically eliminates the mature ones.
Okay,
And
so you think he may have an algorithm in place? That would make sense if he did, right? To have an algorithm in
I
place
think
for that.
Mixer, YouTube, Twitch, any of these things in general, I'm sure there is an algorithm in place that filters these things out, right? Because my stream was mature 18 plus, it's less likely that it would pop up as a recommended to the average person who logs into Mixer. So yes, I want to better myself, bullshit, but also from a business perspective, I'm like, man,
Right.
I would reach a wider audience if I go teen. I could go E for everyone, but I don't think I'm that self-controlled.
I don't think
yet.
you're that capable.
I don't think
I think teen's the minimum bar of entry for you. I would think anyway.
I'm definitely not that capable, but I'm working on it. Okay. So,
Yeah, for sure, and especially being a father now too. I'm sure that enters your mind too. It's like, maybe that's where the impetus, the impetus for the like quote unquote better self comes from. Partly, anyways. I don't know. You'd have to tell me that, but. One thing I wanted to spin off too was I thought maybe it was like a branding decision, right? And it leads me to think back on the topic as a whole. We're talking about, whether you want to reveal yourself on Mixer or like, what you're allowed to do. And it just made me think about Dr. Disrespect, because for the longest time, Dr. Disrespect, as I understand it, I don't watch a lot of him. I'm not like some of our other friends who, live and die by what he does, so to speak. But what I wanted to say was that he, for the longest time, didn't swear. Like for the longest time, he started as a swearer, and then he dropped it. He dropped it, and then recently, like as of his return to Twitch from being banned, he was like, "To hell with it. We're gonna start swearing now. We're gonna go back to the OG." And so the thought process that he seemed to have was like, okay, you know, you could see him vacillating on what his brand was, right? Like he's like, well, what am I gonna be? I'm guessing that he dropped the swearing when he became bigger to try to do the same thing that you're suggesting, right? Which is appeal to a larger base and then work from there. And I think what's interesting about that, just a little tidbit, what's interesting about that is that when he switches back to the cursing, it's like he realizes, okay, I'm never going to be as big as some of these other guys like Ninja. I don't know. Like, I'm just talking out of my ass here. But I'm like, perhaps he thinks that, like, okay, so now I need to return back to like the more hardcore group and make that branding choice and do all that stuff. So fascinating what really goes into a stream, right? It is clothes, it is swearing, it is language choices. There's so much that goes into informing like who the hell you present yourself to be, you know?
And like I said, I talked a little bit about it last week. I don't know, and I don't think anybody will maybe ever know why Ninja left Twitch.
Right.
Officially, I'm sure there was money involved.
I guarantee there was.
I guarantee there was, but is that the only reason? I don't know. Like, we all know that Ninja started his roots. He said he was going back to his roots. His roots was he was a pro Halo player before he was a streamer. So finding a home.
I forgot that, actually. Dang.
Finding a home on an Xbox. Well, he's not on Xbox, actually. He still streams from his PC, but PC is Microsoft for the most part, right? So finding his home on Mixer through his PC, it makes sense. And I honestly think Microsoft is going to use this as a way to leverage Halo Infinite as well, which will bring us into our next piece that we're going to talk about in the news.
Right.
But I wonder too, Ninja genuinely seems like a really nice guy, and he has like a teen rated thing, and he's good with the crowd, and he's very different from Dr. Disrespect.
Oh, night and day difference, right? Wouldn't you think?
And Twitch lately has becoming, a lot of people will say, kind of like a cesspool of whether you love or hate Dr. Disrespect. He was a smart businessman.
No question.
No question. And every time he left Twitch, closed his channel and came back, or when he got banned or suspended for a week for filming in the public bathroom, because he's fucking stupid, he knew what he was doing. He wasn't stupid. He knew what he was doing, and he knew that he would be everywhere in the news, get suspended for a week, a slap on the wrist because Twitch doesn't follow their rules, talking about Mixer's rules about clothing.
Right, exactly.
Nice. And then he comes back, and I'm sure his viewership and his subscriptions probably skyrocketed from where they were just because of that. Whether you admire him for what he did or whether you think he's an idiot, everyone was talking about him.
Exactly. So in some sense, it's like a wrestling move where it's like, you like part of your character's story arc in the WWE is like you turn bad and then you get banned from the WWE, but then you're back and all the fans are, oh my God, he's back. Dr. Disrespect returns. You know what I mean? Like it's the generating of like, it's a generating of a hype kind of thing almost. You're right. Sure. I think he knew exactly what the hell he was doing in the long term.
Yeah, there was tons of news and talk about it. Like I said, I don't know why Ninja left. I'm happy he did. I think it's good for the streamers. But anyway, Halo Infinite.
Definitely good for them.
We'll move on from that. Halo Infinite, sure. Second piece of news. The reason why I want to talk about it is, good segue from Ninja, who's probably going to be streaming that game when it comes out or promoting it somehow. Because, why would Microsoft not jump on that?
Right, obviously. Yeah, they have an investment now, right?
Yeah. Frank O'Connor of 343 Industries, he's I believe is the head of the company or whatever. He said that Halo Infinite will be cross-generational in the sense that you will be getting an Xbox One version, you will be getting an Xbox Scarlet version, and you'll also have it on PC. This is not going to say it's big news because this is where we kind of, most of us, the vast majority of us, saw the industry going. Right. But I'm curious because a lot of people see this as a negative, and I wonder if it will be a negative because he says it's going to look great on the Xbox One. It's going to look even better on the Scarlet. And if you have a good enough PC, it's going to look fantastic on PC, which
Right.
is indicative of how strong the Scarlet's going to be, because they're basically saying, I mean, it could just be BS and what do they call it, marketing
Marketing
words and
speak. Yeah.
keywords or whatever, but
Yeah.
but
Hype. What's
trying to get the hype train, hype buzzwords,
buzzword. That's what
but
that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
that is the word
Totally.
I was looking for. But
Yep.
it could just be buzzwords. But at the same time, they're kind of saying that you need a higher end PC to play this game at max settings. Now, Phil Spencer came out already, I want to say a year ago, before the One X even came out, saying how that they were going to get rid of the generation barriers. I'm going to assume this is what they're talking about. Going forward, are all Scarlet games going to be backwards compatible, or is it
Right.
forwards compatible? Is that what they call it?
Well, if it's Scarlet to 1, it would be back. It would be no, it wouldn't be backwards
I think they
comp. It would
call it
just be
forwards compatible
yeah,
because it's like the future being played on a past hardware. I think it's the
right.
word that they're using in the industry right now.
Okay, that's interesting and strange, but it kind of reminds me of some of the other conversations we had where it was like, is this going to hold it back? I don't know if that's where you're angling on this, but it's like
That's what I'm wondering, is that I old Sean would say this is going to hold them back, and it makes me wonder, how can you design a game for 3 different platforms? But I mean, Microsoft Xbox division has been doing such a job lately of, they haven't released any fucking games this generation.
No,
they
have
released
not.
any games this generation.
No exclusive games.
Services and bring in Game Pass and bring in Xbox Live and bring in PC and bring in and Xbox One X and the One S, and being able to intertwine them all together and being able to play your 360 games, your original Xbox games, and having all their entire ecosystem of the last decade, or not 2 decades, I don't think it's been 2 decades, but having this entire ecosystem available to you all the time. They've done a really, really, really good job with this. And the One X showed that you can play games on the regular one and go to the One X. That to me was a half step. Scarlet's going to be the next. Scarlet's supposed to be rumored to be 4 times more powerful than the One X. So for me, it is like the next generation of Xbox. Even Microsoft is considering it the next generation of Xbox.
Right.
But they are saying that you'll be able to still play it. So I think that in the design architecture of future consoles and how they've merged everything together, is that I really think that they're becoming more and more like a customized, not a customized, but a closed off PC, one you can't mod, so to speak.
Right.
But the settings are there that you can, because that's how you got to look at it, right? That's how I feel. Right. You have to look at it, is that if you get an Xbox One X version and then you get the Scarlet version, it's like the difference is playing on max settings or playing on playable settings. And
right.
Depending on the game you play and what PC you're running, that could be terrible or a good thing, right? Or it's still a good thing. So I'm just, what do you think? How do you think do you think this is how it's going to be going future? Do you think there'll ever be a Scarlet exclusive, or this is just where they're going to go with it?
It's a really interesting question, and it's one I think that has troubled us for a while, because I think we embrace the iterizing version of consoles rather than the restart from the ground up, build a brand new machine, all that type of stuff. We're like, okay, let's be more like Apple, let's be more like the phone industry. Let's iterate, update, get new hardware, but doing the same things, or capable of doing the similar things, like playing the same games or whatever. But there's something that I have a concern about overall, and it's, to me, I'm going to see if I can wrap my head around this in a succinct way and sort of say it at the same time. So my issue with my concern with this is, graphics and performance are one thing, right? That's one part of this. So we say that the Scarlet, or Microsoft says Scarlet is 4 times as powerful as the X, right? The Xbox One X, right? Mm-hmm. That is the number that they gave us. So from that point of view, if you've got Halo Infinite on a Scarlet using that 4x greater power, what does it look like? So question 1 for me is, what is it going to look like on a 4 times weaker machine, right? That's obviously the first question. That's not that surprising of a question. And maybe we can hit on that as we go. But the one thing I wanted to wrap around and say is this: to me, the real concern I have with cross generational anything, and that goes for the whole iterative model plan and everything, is it's about more than just graphics too. Because if you remember GTA 5, man, we played it on 360, right? That was a 360 game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they launched it as a cross generational item on the like shortly after the birth of the X and PS4, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I think it was a couple months in.
Yeah. So now so here's the crux of my issue here. A little long-winded, but the crux of my issue is this: if you'll recall those, like, the changes they made in the new version, they had an FPS mode, they had 10 times more citizens and dogs and whatever else. They had more fog, more visuals. But the thing is this: some of those things aren't visual, right? Like, more people isn't visual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, FPS mode, it's a visual point of view, but it's also a gameplay change. And so my question is, I fear that they're going to have to hold it back too, because Halo Infinite, if it's designed to be played on a 4 times weaker and a 4 times stronger console, what are the AI limitations of the X compared to the Scarlet? Like, in terms of like memory banks and processing, and what the algorithms of the AI are able to do on a stronger system. Because to me, a stronger system also indicates stronger AI, or should
Yeah, it should for
indicate
sure.
that. Yeah. So that's my concern overall. Is like, I don't even give a shit about the graphics. I care about, are we holding ourselves back from doing great systems inside the game? Right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that leads me to wonder too, because I honestly think that they're going this route, and I don't think we'll ever see a Scarlet exclusive personally. And
So you really don't think, sorry, so you really don't think there's going to be like a red banner on top of a game jewel case that says Scarlet?
I don't think so. I don't think this is where the industry's going. I don't think that's
Okay.
where Microsoft wants to go. I think
Okay.
based on the damage control that Xbox has done this generation, so to speak, and what they have done for the industry and what they want to do and the image they're giving us, is that they don't want barriers like that. They want you to be able to play all their games anywhere.
Right.
That includes PC, that includes Xbox. At this point, I don't even think they care if your games go to Nintendo Switch. Oh wait,
Right.
that's happening. So
yeah, that is happening. Although I've yet to see it implemented on Cuphead. I own Cuphead. I bought it, was on sale. Sorry to interrupt here, but it still doesn't have Xbox Live achievements. It still doesn't have the Xbox Live infrastructure. So the only title that does right now is Minecraft.
mm-hmm.
Like, the Nintendo Switch version has its own entry in the Xbox achievement library and all that stuff. That's the only one. Sorry, I just want to kick that in there.
No, that's fine. But I do believe that Microsoft is working on Nintendo's infrastructure, and I think they're even doing PS5 or Sony's infrastructure. They signed a deal. They were at E3 together, were they not? They signed a deal,
that's
and they're
true.
working together.
Yes, to work on the technical side of it, right?
Yeah. So that being said, Xbox could one day be anywhere. I don't think we'll ever see a sticker slapped on that says Scarlet exclusive. Do I think that's going to hold games back? I strongly believe it will, for many reasons you just listed. I also want to know too, like, they didn't really mention the multiplayer facet of this, but I'm assuming you'll be able to play on a 1X against somebody who's on Infinite, right?
Right.
On the Scarlet, I would assume. They haven't really said anything about it. They haven't really talked about that facade of it, but I can't see why they wouldn't. They're both running on Xbox Live. I assume Xbox Live for Scarlet isn't going to be different than the Xbox Live we have for the One X. I would assume. We don't fully know, but it's a service across all their things, right? So it can't really. They don't want to deliver you a different service. They want that one service touches all kind of thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So to me, you should be able to play even against PC players, which brings its other own problem too. But
tons of other problems, as we've experienced in Siege. Don't even want to get into that really, but yeah, tons of other problems. But again, you're absolutely right, because therein lies like an issue about gameplay. Right, 60 frames versus 30 frames. If we're playing Overwatch 2 on Scarlet and Xbox against the same hopper of individuals, is Scarlet running at 65 frames and Xbox One X is running at 30? and we're playing multiplayer, that's going to be differential,
Yeah.
right? That's going to make a difference, is what I mean to say. In the gameplay side of it, and the competition side of it. But even having said that, if your other alternative is, yes, we're releasing these games, Halo Infinite multiplayer on both consoles, but the consoles can only match up against each other, now we're hiving off different communities, and that's not good either. Yeah.
I
So
think.
it's like,
Go ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, so it's kind of a lose-lose situation when we iterize like this. At least as far as multiplayer games across systems, generational systems.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. I do believe that we're gonna have to view things differently anyway. I'm pretty sure this is where Nintendo's gonna go in the future. Well, maybe not, because Nintendo's always weird and different.
Yeah.
But I'm sure this is where Sony's gonna go in the future of gaming too. I mean, we already saw it last generation with the One X and the PS4 Pro.
Right.
But I do believe that this is going to go into evolving of the online settings, so to speak. Like I think I mentioned it the other day, we were playing a game. How I think that just like how you can have your graphical sliders of do I want it max setting or low setting, do I buy this console or that console, you'll probably be able to filter out. I hope so anyway. That if you want to play cross plat, if you want to play against, like, do you want to take that's like you say, it's not good, but I do think it's important to. It's not good to divide the community that way, but I do think it's important that competitive shooters, mouse and keyboard, stay on the PC, and don't force me on my controller to go against a PC mouse and keyboard user.
Yeah, I would agree completely. Like if you're given the option, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like if you're just given the option to engage or not engage in a setting like you say, that's maybe the perfect solution, because what you get then is like, okay, let's say the Xbox One community's dead. Well, then you can just enable to play against the guys that are on 60 frames. It's going to be worse for you, but at least the game's not dead. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the concern about hiving off communities, is that the game will die on one platform versus another or whatever, right? So yeah, forcing people is like never good. So just give options. That's really all you need.
I think there'll be options in the future. I don't know if Halo Infinite will mark that date. Will mark that the date that happens, but I
Right.
do think that's where the future is going to go, and I think they have to give that option. As you
Yeah,
say, if they need to forcibly activate it, they can. And a lot of these games too, not everyone plays these games competitively anyway. A lot of people play
that's
casual
true.
games or whatever, and
Yeah.
do you really fucking care who you're playing against? Like if you just want to go on and murder some kids, like
Yeah, that's true.
people who
Maybe
load it up.
maybe it doesn't even register,
Yeah,
right?
people who load up the game once a week to play for half an hour or an hour just to flip a warthog over, or some
Yeah.
nonsense like that. They're not going to care
Yeah.
about that stuff, so they probably won't even touch those settings.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah. It's a slippery slope for me though, because again, my biggest fear, bro, is that we're gonna literally hear somebody at E3 be like, we would have loved to have put in this real location damage profile, but it just was a bit too advanced for the Xbox One X edition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I fear that so much, because I want to see these advancements. Like we talked about many times before in our chats, uh like imagine a siege where everything was explodable but it didn't break the game. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
like Jesus, man. And X wouldn't be able to do that, probably processor wise. So it's just like, damn, scary, man.
It is scary, and I think this is where they're gonna go. I don't think there'll be exclusives. Part of me, uh, part of me is looking forward to it to an extent, but I'm also fearful, like you. I just don't see how this won't hold games back at some point.
Right.
Like
And it could be a minor point, but it's there.
it's even like now that Microsoft's went down this road where they want to keep all this stuff, they can't really go back on their word. You know what I mean? They can't go
Right.
back on their word. And 10 years from now, 3 Xbox generations from now, am I still going to be able to play my Xbox original games? And that's not a big deal, but they've now made it so that you can, and they can't take that away without
Right.
looking like absolute pieces of shit.
Absolute ponces, yeah. And
So
that's the thing. They've married themselves to a potentially limiting concept.
that's right. So now at this point, I'm curious if they've somehow maybe locked themselves in, and we won't see huge graphical leaps and AI leaps and things that really truly feel next generation because
Right.
they've broken down the generations. They say they don't exist anymore.
Right,
So,
because now we're talking about, instead of generations, we're talking about like just iterations, right? And the difference is not anywhere near as stark. And as much as like I was super hyped about the iterative model, I was like, "Fuck yeah, let's do that. That sounds awesome." And then now that I think about it, it's like when I'm considering buying like a Scarlet or the next thing, I'm like, man, I would just love it if they're like, "Hey, this is like not connected to the other one. It's 10 times more powerful. Let's go." Like I would feel more safe in that somehow, right?
yeah.
Even though my library is huge. So my library is huge, but now I'm scared about the future experiences we're going to get.
And my library is huge too, and I'll always love games from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and I'll always have ones that I didn't get around to finishing. But
yeah,
just somebody who, at this point too, Microsoft Xbox really needs Halo to succeed as well. And it's from a marketing standpoint, from a business perspective, it's excellent to have it available PC, Scarlet, and the one day one. That they could get all the money right off the bat. But I'm just curious to know, is it going to look good enough that it can push console sales for a new console? Is it being held back because of the One X? These are questions they haven't answered. Frank O'Connor basically said that it's going to look good anyway. But like I said, what's good? Like, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, define good. And again, like, are we still saying that 10 years from now? Oh, it's going to look good anyway on Xbox 6 versus Xbox One. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So it's just interesting to see where it's going to go. I'm a little fearful like you, so we'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll move on to the next story.
Sure.
Pop here real quick, so I apologize.
Yeah. I was actually just like technical wise, I realized that on my end of the recording, if you don't mind my saying, I was just muting while I drank water, but then I realized on your recording I wasn't muted. So it was utterly pointless.
I didn't even hear it, so don't.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Okay, good, because I was like glugging a huge thing of water, like listening in to what you're saying.
We're fucking human beings, okay? We get thirsty. We need to stay hydrated.
Yeah,
it's just normal. Our body's made of what, 80% water, for fuck's sake?
Yeah.
Let me drink my goddamn water.
You tell him. You tell him, homeboy.
This last bit of news is incredibly sad for the United States of America. I think it's incredibly sad for the world. I also think it's partly a bunch of horse shit. We're just going to, because we're going on like already almost 40 minutes here, I started my timer late. I'm just going to graze through it quickly because I don't want to get too much into politics. We're a video game podcast. But
it's relevant. It's so relevant.
Extremely relevant. Right? And this is something that personally has bothered me since I was like 12 years old, in a sense. Not this exact situation, but anyway, yeah. we'll get to it. Okay, so it's all over Twitter at this point. There's huge, like, every game developer, most of the news guys are talking about it, and I don't know if they should talk about it because they might just be painting a negative picture of this current situation. But anyway, everyone knows at this point that last week there was a shooting in El Paso. I forget how many died. I think originally there was like 30 injured. I think 21 lost their lives.
Right.
My condolences. I can't even say
absolutely
my condolences and make it mean anything because it's, I can't even imagine.
Like, who are we even? Right?
You know? Who are we exactly? But my heart goes out anyway.
Definitely.
And I mean, a week before that there was a shooting too. But Trump came out and fucking talking tomato, and had a few things to say, and basically he blames video games for mass shooting. It's his exact, and I quote,
"Okay,
we must stop the glorification of violence in our society." I agree with you. That includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace. End quote.
Wait, was that one of, like, as far as we know, was that one medium entertainment that he just called out directly? Video games?
That is the only form of entertainment he called out directly.
Wow. So he didn't even say like grisly games and movies. He was just like grisly ass video games.
His exact quote.
Holy crap, man.
Exactly. We must stop the glorification of violence in our society. That includes the gruesome and grisly video games that are now commonplace.
Good God, man. It's like,
It's 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 the
yeah, it's like,
glorification
where do you even start with that?
in a fucking country where you can walk to any store and buy a gun,
Yeah.
and he's saying we need to stop the glorification of violence. Where the fuck does it start? Like
Yeah, exactly. Like, look at your own history textbook. Like, the glorification of violence is embedded within that.
yeah,
The way they talk about the revolution and
their
stuff,
their
right?
history books is violence. Their
Yeah,
fucking history books that they teach you in school is violence, but it's an
yeah,
important part of history. Anyway, like I said,
yeah.
I don't
Like,
want to
it's
get.
like, it's such a blur line, though, right?
It's a blur line. It's he's saying this. I mean, it's obvious why they're saying this. They're saying this because they're trying to misdirect, or they're trying to put the negative press elsewhere, which
Right,
is
get the onus somewhere else.
what
Yeah.
they've done for what they've done. Canada's done it. What the whole world's been doing it for generations. Even when
For
our
sure.
parents were kid, they make you hear what you want to hear.
Yep.
They lead you to where they want to lead you. They don't want
Absolutely,
people
man.
talking about the gun laws. They don't want people talking about how easy it is to go get a gun. It's our First Amendment. They don't want people talking about that. They want people talking about something else. And video
Yeah,
games
exactly.
is huge right now. And video games, and for as long as I can remember, video games and metal music, heavy metal, has been blamed for this shit since I've been on the planet. Since before I was on the planet, not many video games were around, and heavy metal wasn't that popular or even existed yet.
Right.
So we'll say in the last 30 years to 40 years since video games and metal music has broken the scene, anytime there's a freaking somebody who loses their mind, I'm not saying that this person lost their mind. I don't know. To me, he has to be fucking crazy to walk
To
into
even
a
pull
store
this off,
and
yeah.
fucking shoot a bunch of people, because I don't know how
Yeah.
you can do that without
Yeah.
having something fucking off up there.
Exactly.
But I'm just tired of always hearing this, and it really bothers me that I agree with them. We need to stop the glorification of violence in our society.
Sure.
But is art expressing a certain thing and explaining a certain facet of a fantasy or a life in a violent way, or even a historical event? Has it been called gruesome? Like, there's tons of books, there's tons of movies,
Right.
way more violent than video games.
Well,
games
look
get
at
away
like
with
Saving Private Ryan, even. Fuck.
exactly, and that has historical accuracy, they'll say, or some
Well, it's like,
nonsense
yeah,
like
the
that.
history.
But
Yeah.
it's glorifying violence in a sense, and I don't think
Right.
that they should be banned. I don't think these books, this literature pieces, should they have a age rating on them? Yes, and they all do. I think most books have. Oh, actually, I don't know about books because I'm not.
I don't think they do, but they should. That's actually interesting.
I'm
Separate conversation, maybe sometime.
I'm sure. Like, I'm pretty sure. Like, a Chapters or an Indigo isn't gonna sell you like some hustler, erotic stories. You know what I mean? Like, anything that's available
Yeah.
to the family, anything like. But at the same time, could a 14-year-old girl read 50 Shades of Grey? It's kind
That's
of.
what I wonder
That's
too.
a
I think they
fucking.
could.
I think they could, because I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah.
like hosted there, but it's art. It's not considered pornographic, so to speak.
Prawn,
And
yeah.
it's not considered prawn, and and it bothers me that they always do this. It really
Totally,
bothers
man.
me that they take something that we love and they do this, and this just happens to be Trump. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus and the United States of America. It just so
Right.
happens that he's the idiot saying it this time, but they've been saying it for a long time.
Right. He's not the
And-
last. He's not the first, unfortunately. Right.
Yeah, and he'll and my personal just opinion on it, I'm just going to wrap it up with my
Yeah,
personal
by all
opinion.
means.
Well, my wrap up is I don't have much more to say on it without getting into politics and what they should and shouldn't do. Is that video games has now been accepted as a form of art, like movies, like literature, like painting, okay? And who are they to tell you what your limits on art is? Do people pussy? Do people push the boundaries?
See, if we had an editor, I think maybe that would get edited out.
Probably. Do people push the boundaries in all forms of art? Yes, but they're usually the people who are most famous. They're the people who are making a statement. And video games are no different. Like, look at the new Call of Duty where they're really trying to be edgy and so to speak. I don't think they're just doing that to be cool. I think they're trying to be as close to real-time events so it impacts you a certain way. And I don't think going and playing Gears of War and chunking kids with my fucking Nasher makes me want to go to a fucking supermarket and Nasher a bunch of kids. Like,
right. It doesn't have the effect on me either.
That
Like,
a,
it
a
really
regular person, a regular person, doesn't matter what IQ you are, unless maybe it's like below 10, does not have that freaking ability. Like, you have to have something wrong. You have to have something wrong
right.
with you.
Yes,
You can be.
I would agree.
Some serial killers have the highest IQ. They're the smartest people. What you mentioned the other day, are murderers intelligent?
Right,
And
or are they
most
stupid?
of them are.
Right?
Most of them have really good education, and just their IQ
Like
is
pure IQ.
but that doesn't mean that there's not a fucking short circuit somewhere.
Well, yeah.
Like, not being able to feel empathy, not remorse, like how can
nihilism,
exactly,
narcissism,
like,
whatever.
being able to walk into a place and shoot a bunch of people, blow up a bunch of people, whatever, it doesn't matter what you're doing, to be able to harm someone in that fashion is not a normal human thing. And you look at people who go to war. People who go to war are the war vets. You have the people in Iraq. You have these guys, the Canadians, the Americans, whoever. They go there, and they're not really even fighting a real war like you did back in the day. But the shit they see fucks them up still to this day. Except for like the select handful of people who are psychotic, and they're the ones who, after being dismissed because they got shot in the kneecap or something, helping our country, they end up snapping and driving a tank through town or some nonsense.
Right,
like that,
yeah.
because
like,
there's something off there. There's something wrong. And to be able to make... To try and blame video games for that. Violent video games don't make people violent.
right.
I actually am a firm believer in those types of games that are excessively violent might actually help you vent at the end of the day. It might actually help. The whole reason why people play video games or read a book is to escape. Escape from... It doesn't mean your life is bad. It doesn't mean you had a bad day, but it's to escape. You know what? I'm tired of my wife and kids. I got off work. I want to go relax and kill some kids in Apex, And that's nothing violent to me. That doesn't make me a serial killer, but that's how I'm blowing off some steam, so to speak.
This is how you channel like the stress of capitalism out of your body or
that's
whatever
right.
it is,
And this is what a lot of people do. And I just find it absurd in this day and age that people still blame this. And then you have all these people posting... I didn't take down any of the analytics of it, but people are posting like the death rates of the world, okay, and how... and the highest is the U.S. Surprisingly, to my surprise anyway, Canada was in second place.
Wow.
But still like a quarter of what the U.S. has. And
my God.
I think they call this... I forget what they call it. This is deaths by excessive violence, I think was the chart they used. So this isn't like a regular car accident. This isn't somebody falling off a bridge.
Somebody lashing
this is like
out
a
at
violent,
another person.
This is a violent act, whether it be a bomb explosion, a terrorist attack, somebody going to a mall and shooting people. I'm assuming like a stabbing, things like that. And U.S. is number one. And then they also put a chart next to it of the amount of people who play game. Not the amount of people. They put number of hours played in video games per capita, per country. And Japan's number one, obviously. And their death rate is like at the bottom. They're the last one of this exact thing.
They don't even have a standing army, for fuck's sakes, over there, man.
Exactly. And things like the UK. So at some point and there's been tons of studies that they've done over the years that say there's zero link between video games and music you listen to and being able to go and assault rifle 30 innocent people.
Right, exactly.
There's been no proof of that, and it just frustrates me. It just gets under my skin the wrong way.
For sure. And I think
Go ahead.
For sure. No, and I think what the problem too is that you have a voice like Trump who's able to carry a lot of clout, and he's just out there saying it again. So he like sort of resuscitates what's already been proven to be not the case, right? In a lot of studies, but he's able to just say like whatever and resuscitate these arguments, like necromancy these arguments, right? And it's just like, it is frustrating because at a certain point you think you're beyond that. You know what I mean? You think your hobby's like beyond that now. Like you said, you think it's like rendered into art at this point, or at least closer to art than ever. But then we have a detraction like this, and it's like, well, fuck, we're at 1985 again, or whatever it is, right? And I think like to the overall point, one thing I did want to mention is I knew this subject was coming up, and I was just chatting about it with my family, and my dad was like, yo man, when I was a kid, this is what they pinned They pinned the same thing on Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons was the thing that made people violent. It was the thing that made people Satanists. It was all this kind of thing. It was a video game. It was a proto video game, basically, right? It still kind of is in some respect. And the only thing that's ever been true, like, we see that as a common denominator, like, oh, this entertainment item allows these people to get warped mentally. But far more prevalent, the common denominator is a few other things, right? Like, I saw an article, didn't dig into it really, by the way, but I saw it, and it kind of struck a chord with me, so I'll just mention it here. It said, the headline was, almost every country has video games, only the US has a gun murder problem, right?
Yeah.
Because they're vastly even ahead of us. You said, like, we're a quarter of what they have in gun deaths, and Japan is minimal in gun deaths. In fact, they're like almost like I think I saw a number. It was like single digits per year.
Yeah,
gun death. It's like absurdly low comparative to America. So if you're looking at that and you're looking at the hours played, you can say the common denominator is video games, but more to the point, the common denominator is access to firearms or lack of education surrounding firearms. I know people who really don't want the access to firearms to be even more regulated, and I can't even possibly get into that. That's more political than I think we want to be here. But the point being is, like, dude, you can pick you can pick something to blame, but the country that plays a shit ton of video games and can't access guns has barely any gun deaths, and the country that can access guns like it ain't no thing and has video games, there's way more killing in that. So, I mean, like, we have to split the difference somewhere, and they just choose to split the difference toward video games, right? Rather than the right to bear arms or whatever. Or rather than, like, oh, capitalism makes people crazy or whatever it is, like, this guy, like, there's a million and one reasons why somebody might be unhinged, right? Fucking video games is one you're gonna choose? Yeah. Really? Like, that really does bother me, man.
It does. It bothers me. Video games don't kill people. Guns kill people. And then the people who protect guns would tell you that guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people, and that's true too. And
it is true.
I saw an interesting argument about it. Is that they're like, oh well, do we really need to have the right of having our guns taken away? Because Canada has tons of guns too, but you have to go through. It's not ease of access, and you can't have assault rifles. We've talked about this. Either way, it's a weapon. In my opinion, it's a weapon, and we just shouldn't have them at all. The only reason to have a weapon is to cause harm. They're literally invented to cause harm, either to an animal
M16,
to eat for survival.
Exactly.
Well, even a crossbow,
right.
It was caused to harm something or to hunt.
Right.
And at some point, are you hunting people or are you hunting for food? So I just think it's absurd, and
me too, man.
It flusters me. Just like with the heavy metal music, it bothers me that oh, this guy listened to Ozzy Osbourne. He's a fucking. That's why.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and they used to always pull that up. Like, he had a history of interest in darker music, like black metal. Yeah. That's what news, like, agencies will do, right? It's like, they sensationalize these minor tidbits, right?
Anything to add on that, or?
No, not really. It's just that, again, that what I think what rattles us the most is thinking we're past this, right? And yet we're not, right? And
the world, I mean, as much as we evolve and change, I feel like we kind of never do change.
Right, exactly. And I just think people in political power need to be a lot more careful about what they say. I know Trump is the anti-careful, and that's really what the problem is. But, like, if the studies a country commissions about video games are contradicting the point that you're making, just out of the crack your ass, so to speak, Trump, that is, like, the point that Trump's making, then, like, he should not be able to just, like, go out there and say something, because then it riles all the villagers, so to speak, right? Yeah. And now the villagers hate video games, so here we are again, Frankenstein hunting, right? It's just like, god damn, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so moving on. Final note: video games don't kill people, guns kill people.
Right.
We'll move on to some happier topics.
And then screw loose people with guns will kill people.
Screw loose people with guns will especially kill people, yes.
Right.
So new game this week. There was a few, but the only one that really stuck out to me, I say a few, I think I saw 3 games that came out this week. I think 2 of which are indie games. And even this game, I'm not sure if it's indie or not. I'm not sure if it's full price. You can tell me more about it. But
Yeah, I can.
it's Age of Wonders Planetfall, released
Yes.
this week. On
Yep.
Metacritic right now, it's got outstanding scores. PC is holding it at an 82. PS4 77. Don't know why it's so low. On Xbox, 87. So
Wow,
Xbox actually
87.
87 on Xbox as of yesterday. It could have changed
Dang.
this morning, but on Xbox, it's got a high of 87, which is pretty damn high.
That's pretty damn high.
This game looks interesting to me.
Yep.
But you've played it, so talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, okay, sure. So yeah, I buy a lot of games, just like you, and this one hit my radar in a big way late. I didn't like pre-order it or anything like that. I just see this game and like I look at it. It's basically a 4X, so that's like the civilization genre. So that's explore, exterminate, exploit, and oh god, I'm forgetting the other X, but that's what they stand for. Like expand, yeah. So build your empire, crush other empires, explore the world around you. So it has that layer, the civilization layer, but interestingly also it has an XCOM-ish combat layer. And in fact, I'm going to send a video to WhatsApp to you guys later. It's just being like, here's example of the combat. Like I'm watching, like it'll be a replay of the combat that I went through without the tutorializing. But anyway, this game is fucking cool. This game is cool. It costs $63 base edition. There's a couple other editions. One gives you a bunch of knickknacks for like $76, and the other one gives you the knickknacks plus the season pass. Season pass is gonna run you about $40, I think, for expansions, like 3 post-launch expansions. But anyways, this game, I only played the tutorial. So the tutorial gives you the human faction, and they're called the Vanguard. So they're basically what happened is society as we know it crumbled. A lot of things fractured off of that, and they became separate entities, groups, factions, whatever. As far as I understand it, Vanguard is the most milquetoast like human. So that's where you start.
And this is so basically it's like a standard. It's a standard game.
Yeah.
Standard.
Yeah.
Like it's not an indie game. Who
No.
developed,
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Paradox,
it?
I believe. I think it's Paradox Interactive.
Paradox.
I think it's Paradox. Let me look that up. But yeah, no, it's well polished. It is not an indie game by any stretch.
Cool.
I don't think. And one thing I do want to say though is one of the first combats you get into, you already see the diversity of unit types. So I have guys with machine guns. I have a dude driving a motorcycle kind of thing. I've got engineers who can build turrets. What am I against? Actually creepy crawly ass flying bugs that can leap like huge amounts, and apparently you can play as those bugs. Like you can play as the bug society in a game if you want, in a campaign or in like a random generated map, right?
That's really cool.
So I'm really interested by it so far.
Yeah, the game looks
really cool
to me.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Is there multiplayer out of curiosity?
There's online multiplayer actually. So
I'm assuming it's just versus or
I that's what I'm wondering. I wonder if it'll be like I'm wondering if it'll be like, we could play this game long term, like a month-long match. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, like
load and save. I don't know.
But game of Risk kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be pretty dang cool if we could do that.
I doubt it's that, but that would be
I
cool
doubt it's that too. Yeah, I doubt it's that too. One thing I just want to add too about the game is that so you can there's campaigns for each of the species, each of the factions. There's a separate campaign. Apparently, according to the reviews I've read, these campaign stories are really good, really, really good. But where the game may falter is when you're done the campaigns and you want to just play more of the game. You do that by going into a random map, and you have like all the civilizations diplomatizing, attacking, whatever it is, right?
I think I read that on IGN. I think it was on a link you gave, but I remember reading that exactly. Is that the story is really good and interesting, but then when you get into like the never-ending procedurally generated loop of it, it kind of feels like, do I want to keep doing this now? Because it feels a little less pointless, like a little more pointless and not fleshed out as well.
Right, it feels kind of aimless in some respect, and that probably has to do something with the quality of the story versus the absolute lack of a story in those modes. So you can see how it's probably kind of jarring. One other note I want to make too, a potential concern I'm keeping an eye on, just as a player of it for what was it, like an hour only. Didn't even finish the tutorial, by the way. But the one thing I'm keeping an eye on is, okay, to me, the game's combat is freaking cool. Like, we're doing XCOM shit, like telling your guy to throw a grenade and it blows up a building nearby, like in a Civilization type of game,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But the concern I have is combat so cool that you're just gonna want to go to war with everybody? And like, is this basically just a war simulator? Because Civ was never that, right? Civ was all about everything, like diplomacy, you know, signing laws, doing all this stuff. I'm worried that this game may have more of a bent towards combat than any other 4X game we've played in a while. That being said,
but if
go
the
ahead.
story is, sorry to interrupt, but if the story is
That's okay.
really good, it might make you not want to kill those people, even though it's so
True.
fun and engaging I really want to go into combat with everyone. I just want to be a freaking Napoleon of this world.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the story in certain campaigns for certain species will make you question, like, should I really be doing this?
Right. Like,
and what are the advantages to? I haven't played the game yet, but I wanna play it. So to all my listeners, you can donate to me on PayPal.
Hey,
I am a
let's
husband.
go.
I am a father.
Yep.
And yeah, just donate the game to me. I know, I'm kidding.
$60. $60 doesn't come easy though.
I'm gonna buy it on Wednesday probably, but I'm like,
I hope I don't mislead you on it, but it looks real nice. It looks real good.
Well, I've been a fan of XCOM for a long time. You got me into that. I played Mutant 01, which you need to play because I really think you'll like it.
God, I should actually.
And this kind of seems like a combination of a few different
like two good genres, right? Like two really good ones.
What my curiosity is that, okay, you say, is the combat so good and fun that you will want to kill everyone? My only question is, what will the benefits or pros and cons be? You're only in the tutorial, so you might not know.
Right.
But what's the pros and cons to if I don't kill these people or if I do? Like, when you dominate them, do you kind of gain their tech anyway? Like, do you somehow advance as a species? If you guys become allies, are you able to explore further in the universe? Like these are things that these types of games generally kind of have.
Definitely.
So I would assume that it's there somehow. I'm just curious what the how it'll play out if you decide
how it plays out exactly. Yeah, exactly. And actually, that reminds me of something interesting too. Is that because the factions are potentially so different, they all have aspects of their own tech trees, right? Mm-hmm. So when you research some knowledge, you get kind of like the Civ style quotation, like, oh, you've learned how to build hydroponic farms, and they tell you like a little bit about hydroponic farms. And now it makes me wonder, like, oh man, do they have different voiceovers for every species? Because the Vanguard, like when I made like the regular humans, when I made the hydroponic farms, it was like a Vanguard guy saying, "We Vanguard, you know, we're very protective about our farms and blah blah blah, whatever." And now I'm just wondering, like, holy crap, is this game diverse enough that it's going to have technology quotes for all these diverse species? Like, is that what we're talking about? Because that would add a lot of character to it too, right? That would add a lot of interest to the proceedings, because even when you're playing Civ, for as deep as it is on the board game part of it, if you allow me to just say that, the 4X part of it, it's still like a bunch of countries researching code of laws and sailing, right? And this game seems to at least have potential to be a lot more diverse than that, but I have to see how deep that's actually going to go.
All right. Well, I'm gonna buy it next week or on Wednesday. Like I said,
I'll update you as I go through it, like when I really get out of that tutorial, and because I haven't even diplomatized yet, bro. So I have no idea what that looks like even.
This is I'm excited. This sounds good though. So
and the control scheme's fucking good, which is saying something. Yeah,
that is saying something, because often, like, you look at like games like, I don't know, recently Stellaris that came to console.
Stellaris.
That feels like I need to be an acrobat to be able to play it.
But I bounced off of that because it was just so many spreadsheets, right? This game is doing a good job so far of avoiding that presentation style.
Awesome. Any final words on that?
No, just looking forward to getting in more of it and seeing if my concerns are founded or not. You know, that's about it.
Your concerns are never founded, you bitch.
No. That's what I learned. That's what you learn when you're a podcaster. You just.
So going on to the last topic is Gears 4. Like I said, I finished it. Woohoo! Clap, clap.
Nice. Congrats.
Finished it. Yeah. before Gears 5 comes
I'll
out.
give you a little bit of a clap without killing our listeners' ears.
So I'm happy. So the story of this game until the last scene is really kind of lacking, if you ask me. I
Right.
think it might have been
in Gears 4, you mean?
Yeah,
right?
In Gears
Okay.
4. I think it might actually be like the worst Gears story to date.
Oh,
until
God.
the end. There was your typical Gears of War kind of gameplay throughout. There was nothing new. There was a lot of kind of like big set piece boss battles, which kind of separated it from the older ones. Because in the older ones, I mean, you had like in the first one you had the Corsair, and you had Rom at the end. In the second one, you had what's his name, Scourge or whatever.
Scourge, yeah, the priests, like the Cantus type guys, right?
So this one seemed like it had a little bit more like actiony set pieces, more so than usual, which was nice. It was fun to play through. The story was, I mean, not that Gears of War has really ever been known for its deep story, but I do feel like Gears of War 3. Have you finished Gears of War 3?
No, that I still need to finish it, but okay, please go
spoilers,
ahead. Though.
Okay,
I know what's up. I know what's up.
When Dom fucking dies, okay, I cried because it's fucking Dom, man. He's my bro. Bud.
Dom's awesome, yeah. Okay. Bud. Exactly.
Anyway, Gears 4 does kind of like this not Ghostbusters, but it does like this new generation of cogs thing, which is a neat idea. I kind of actually like the new characters for what it's worth. I like Kate. I like JD. But the story itself, I don't know. It felt like it just kind of dragged on. Like basically, Marcus is captured by these in this game. Oh my god, what are they called? I forget what they're called, but they're these
the not locusts. They're called
Snatchers. Swarm. Well, they are Swarm, but they're called this creature is called the Snatchers.
Okay.
And they basically come and they swallow you, and they take you back to the hive, and you're in like a pod, and then they're like basically you're in a pod. And they're, I don't know, they're colonizing you or some nonsense. Anyway.
Okay, like fucking assimilating your ass like Borg or something?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so you end up saving Marcus, which is fine. And then you have to find Kate's mother, Reyna. And Reyna... Anyway, this is what leads into the last scene. Now, I was playing through the game, and I was in this cool scene. I'm like, oh, I must be coming near the end, but I didn't... it came out of nowhere, honestly. Like, I actually skipped the final cutscene accidentally because I double tapped the controller.
Shit.
I had no idea that the end of the game was coming now. I've killed a boss and I skipped the end scene. Fuck. So obviously I went to YouTube and watched it. I stayed until after the credits and saw what happened after the credits. But I went to YouTube to see the final ending scene. So spoilers, okay? So if you don't want any spoilers, now's the time to stop listening.
Right. Bounce out.
You have to. You're forced to stay.
Yes, I'm subjected to this.
Gameplay wise, the Gears game, like I said, gameplay wise, Gears is mostly unchanged. It was fun. It was fluid. It was badass. That was cool. Story was lacking until the last cutscene, and it really opened up my eyes to a few things. In the last cutscene, you finally make it to Kate's mother, Reyna, and she's in. You think she's going to be in a pod, and you want to save her from this pod because she was taken by the Snatchers, but she's not. She's actually not in a pod. Instead, she's being infested.
Okay. Like Kerrigan style?
Kerrigan style. From StarCraft Brood War.
Yeah.
You guys didn't know. Okay. So you get to the end of the game. You reach Kate's mother. You find out that she's not in a pod. Instead, she's being infested. The swarm seems to be going out of their way not to kill her, but change her into one of them. Okay. Which immediately, when I saw this, I'm like, fucking Queen Mira. Right? Because Mira from Gears 1, was she in Gears 2?
No. I think it was Gears 3 that she came into it, right?
I think so.
But she was always a voice in Gears 1, right? Like,
yeah, she was always a voice. And if you follow the story a bit, if you read the books, or even if you've followed the story a little bit, you know that Queen Mira, I mean, you don't know officially, but it seems like Queen Mira is a human, not a locust or a swarm. Okay?
Right.
And she also, before Emergence Day, she was actually in conversations with Adam Phoenix, so Marcus's dad.
Yeah.
Or in this situation, JD's grandfather.
Right.
So that puts her, I'm just trying to set a frame of age group here.
Right.
Okay. Also, when I saw her being infested, she looked really familiar, and she looked a lot like Mira. which leads me to believe that Mira is Reina's mother and
Okay.
thus Kate's grandmother.
Okay.
What furthers me to believe this is so right before, because basically Reina's like she says I don't remember the words exactly, but she tells Kate, she's like, the swarm has made sure that I will not make it out of this alive.
Right.
Meaning either she's turning or she has to die. So Kate has to cut her loose, and obviously it's going to kill her because she's no longer,
Right.
I guess, being
Like
hosted or
given
whatever.
nutrients or whatever the hell.
Exactly. She's basically fucked.
Right.
Before she does it, Reina gives her a necklace. Reina gives Kate a necklace. This
Okay.
necklace, on one side, you've seen it in the first 3 games, actually. It's, like the locust symbol.
Yep.
The like the
The
4
little like square triangle-ish kind of
square
thing.
triangles.
Yeah.
On one side, okay, you also see it on Mira, but on one side of it, she gives it to her, and it's got like the cog symbol, and then she
Right.
flips it over, and it's the locust symbol, and this is from her grandmother.
So there's obviously some sort of relationship there.
I believe,
Like,
yes. So Reina said that this necklace belonged to her grandmother. So the question that I believe they're trying to lead us is that maybe there is a family connection, and this is why the swarm didn't kill Reina. They were trying to infest her because they wanted a queen. They needed a queen,
right.
right?
Any idea why they need one though?
I'm sure if you read the books, you can find out more. I don't
Flesh that
fully
out.
know
Yeah.
why they need, but I think it's just probably the hierarchy of how things work. Why does anybody need a queen or a
Right.
president?
Overall.
It's the government, the control, the power, whatever. There's
Sure.
many
Yeah,
reasons.
that makes sense.
There's many reasons why, but so yeah. So now Reina obviously can't do it. So now the last one in the bloodline, if this is true, would be Kate. And
Right.
then it made me think about the E3 trailer where you see Kate and she seems fucked up and it's got that song playing and like her face is
Yeah,
like
she
morphine
looked
or
kind of
whatever.
fucked. Yeah.
And it gave me goosebumps when I saw this, and just thinking about it and talking about it, I'm like, man, this is where I'm starting to see how they tie it into Gears 1 and 2 and 3 and the original trilogy, and that was really, really cool to me.
Right. They're actually gonna go for this reach back. Eh? They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna make it all make sense collectively.
That's right. So I think it's safe to assume that Kate and her family are descendants of Queen Mira. And if you look, like I said, if you look at the timelines, Adam, Phoenix, and Mira, okay, then you have Reina and Marcus, the daughter and son, and then you have Kate and JD.
Right.
So,
2 and 2 down the line.
That's
right.
right. So to me, the time frame lines up perfectly.
Right.
It's really interesting to me. It's a shame that I didn't really get any sense of that leading up to this point.
Right.
But
Oh, so they just sprung that shit on you then.
It's I was fighting a big boss and I had fought other ones in the game. I thought nothing of it. I killed the boss and I accidentally tapped A twice, just accidentally, and I skipped the cutscene. That was it. That was the end of the game. It came to an abrupt finish to me. It came out of nowhere. I enjoyed the ending. Like I said, I think the ending was the best part of it. I think I'm going to say I'm onto something. I'm sure other people have made much deeper connection. I'm sure there's some Gears nerds out there who have read books, can tell you about the 100-year history of it, and this and that, and how the Locust came to be, and how the Locust wanted to put a stop to the Lambents and all that, and all these things. There's history there, but just based on what the E3 trailer for Gears 5 and the ending of this game, I believe that's where it's going. I think Gears 5 is gonna, whether Kate's gonna be struggling because I don't know, because she finds out what she is and she's struggling with herself. Like if you've been fighting the Locust your entire life, you were literally raised into the cogs to fight this kind of thing, and you find out that like your bloodline says that you're the leader of these things, how that could potentially fuck you up.
Yeah, oh yeah, because like you're one of them, you're one of the enemies, right?
And also, if I'm not mistaken, the Locusts are kind of like a hive mind, are they not?
Yeah, I think so. That's kind of the suggestion,
mind,
I think.
Right? So if they're linked to Reina and Mira and stuff like that, is there somehow that she can also see shit she doesn't want to see going forward into this next game? So
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where it goes. Like I said last week on the podcast, Gears of War 5 tech test felt fantastic. I know you
It
agree,
did. It really felt good. Yeah.
except for the chainsaws. Fuck the fucking
Right.
chainsaws.
Chainsaws, and then casual mode was kind of whack job a little bit,
Who
but
plays
whatever.
casual? Fucking filthy
Right. Like so,
casuals.
it's like whatever in the end on that regard, right?
Exactly.
But yeah, like I think it's rare for a game to be able to reach all the way back like that, right? Like if they do tie it up nice in Gears 5, that would be pretty dang rewarding, I
I
would think.
I think that's where they're going with it. But don't forget, I think they planned another trilogy. So whether or not we'll get a
Oh
full
shit.
answer, it's another. Well, they planned a trilogy, right? There's going to be Gears
I
4,
forgot
5,
that.
and 6, right? So whether or not
Right.
we'll get the full answer in this game or in the next one is to be seen.
Right.
But I believe what they showed. I think this is what's happening. And I sent you pictures on WhatsApp. If you look at
Yeah.
Kate, Reina, and Mira, they all kind of look very similar to me.
Right. There is a similarity there. So either there are sucks at diversifying or this is actually a real thing.
For sure. So yeah, so like I said, quick. I basically talked all I can talk about the game. My
But
review
oh, hold on.
overall.
Let me ask you. Let me. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll give you
Please.
the score first. My
Yeah.
review
Please.
overall, I think I would have to give it a 7 on 10.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
not bad. I know a lot of people will consider that as a bad score. I had a lot of fun playing through it. I enjoyed it. It came to an abrupt finish because I've been playing Gears my entire life and I have a certain love connection with it.
Yeah.
And knowing the story, the ending I think might have saved it a bit. Not that it was a bad game, but it added to the score. I would say
Right. Yeah.
it's Gears holds a special place in my heart. But if I was somebody new coming into this game, I don't know. Like it's probably. I mean, it's probably like your typical 6 hour shooter campaign.
Oh, really? Is that all?
Not
Okay.
much story. There's cool set pieces. It is fun to play through and whatnot. But it's like, would it warrant a second playthrough? No. Did I miss anything? No. Like I mean,
No.
yeah. There's even collectibles like they've always had the hidden dog tags throughout the game.
Right.
I don't have them all, but without a guide, I'm pretty sure I'm like at 90% of just going through the game. So it's not like it's. But I mean, this Gears has never been hugely about the campaign anyway. I mean, yeah,
Right,
they created
exactly.
characters and they did create a cool world and whatever, but
Right.
it's much more than that. And the multiplayer in Gears 4 was fantastic as well, so that also helps
Right.
it.
And,
But
and that sort of like that is the thing that sort of like drives it all forward, right? Is the multiplayer, right? But I think like people sometimes say it's like what we remember the most is what a thing has done for us lately,
yeah,
not what it did throughout the whole course. And that like you talking about the ending is like what makes me think of that. Like like would you be harsh enough to say like without this ending sparking a spark of passion for you, would this hit like would the score take like a considerable dive or
I
not considerable?
I would say like probably 1 point, but this is me talking here too. Like a 6 to me is not a bad game, and even on an
Right.
official review scale, a 6 is not a bad game. People seem to forget that, and that's a topic for
Right. To a
another
lot of
day.
people, 6 is like write it
But
off. It's
but
done.
a
Right.
6 is still a good game, or I think it's considered a mediocre game or whatever. But it's still
Yeah.
considered a good game. I'm
I think
pretty
it's
sure it's
okay
good.
is the words they use. IGN.
Oh yeah, it might be okay, but okay it doesn't mean bad, right? So
No.
honestly, the game is fluid. It looks beautiful. It plays nicely. Maybe I'm spoiled in the sense that I've played Gears before, and I'm just tired of playing the same game over and over again.
Could be.
And for a game to really get me, it has to kind of do something different,
Right.
or at least have like a deep, good story. And honestly, like at the start, I was interested, and then it might have been the time frame that I paused from it that made me lose interest. But the story,
Like maybe there's some machinations in the middle that you kind of got muddled up over time. Maybe.
it's possible, but I just think that like honestly, it came to an abrupt end, and the story itself didn't until the end where I see where things might be going, didn't spark my interest. Until
Right.
that, I just felt like I was some badass guys and girls ripping through locust hordes, and that was a lot of fun, and it was smooth and it was beautiful, and the multiplayer is great. But if that ending hadn't have happened, if that big impact ending tugging at my curiosity and my love for the franchise, if that didn't happen, it probably would have been like a 6, a 6.5.
Right. Right. So a decent experience, but nothing that's going to like stand the
That's
test
right.
of your memory over time.
Yeah, it's not a new game. It's like it didn't reinvent the Gears series or anything,
Right.
So
Right.
that's about it for me. Do you have anything you
Okay.
want to add
Okay.
or?
Just that like it so functionally I'm actually wondering functionally as a video game is it really just Gears campaign? So like are you ducking into cover doing the like usual stuff? Are there any like breaking is there any breaking of the mold from that design philosophy, or is it like a Gears campaign with a different story? Like
It's
you know.
it's a Gears campaign with a different story.
Okay.
Basically, like I said, they do some cool like they do some cool like different kind of action pieces, but Gears always had that where you'd be in a vehicle or something, right? In
Yeah.
this in this, the way they bring back Baird, for example, is Baird is now in like the head, like he's like a huge engineer who engineers like all sorts of shit, but he comes back and you get like this giant mech power suit kind of thing, and
Okay.
that actually leads to the final battle of the game, which
Okay.
I
So
didn't see coming, obviously, because I'm like, oh, I just fucking met Baird. Little did I know that 5 minutes later, the game would be over, with no explanation to why Baird came out of nowhere flying in on a helicopter. And
what
then
the hell?
the helicopter gets taken down, and I rip the propeller blade off and attach it to my thing. And all of a sudden, instead of having a chainsaw, the giant robot, the mech, is spinning the propeller blade and using that to kill the final boss, which is
Wow.
really cool. That's
Really
cool.
badass.
But
Yeah.
then it like comes like that's Gears though, and then it comes to an end
Yeah.
kind of thing. So they don't really do anything new. There are some nice set pieces that do. They have the whole storm, those new storm things that they do. I don't know what they're called.
Oh right.
The
Oh
wind shape,
god.
the wind shaping or whatever. But
Right,
to,
where it's like you have to like kind of push your way through the wind,
there's
and
the
it's
wind, and there's really cool physics with it. There's the lightning that
right.
strikes and fucking if it hits you, you get disintegrated like a Hammer of Dawn style.
Right.
Like it looks beautiful. It's fun to play. There's big set pieces, bigger than ever, I would say. But
Right.
otherwise, it doesn't really do anything to break the mold. There's not any
Okay.
really kind of new game mechanics. There's not even the mech controls the same way as a regular cog would.
Does it have roadie running too?
It has roadie running. It has
Oh
the
my
chainsaw.
god.
It's just that he's big and slow. You feel like you
Yeah.
have weight.
Right. So they can't even let it go in that respect, right? Like they
Yeah.
can't even. They can't. Okay. Good to know.
And that's all I have to say about it. Anything else?
Okay. No, I think I definitely it's on my list to play Gears 3, Gears 4. I don't know if I'm gonna get it done before Gears 5, but I know I'm gonna spend a lion's share of multiplayer in Gears 5 and probably do the campaign later on anyway. So
I was gonna say you're probably gonna spend most of your time playing Gears 5 multiplayer. So
definitely, yeah. I'm planning to go ham on that shit, man. That was fun.
it was
Like King of the Hill was fun as hell in that beta at times.
It was. Yeah,
It's not my favorite mode, but
I really enjoyed it.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, KidCleaver,
Oh
Alexander,
god, yeah.
for coming on to the show this week.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. We're going to have you on the Wasted Years episode 3, are we not?
Oh, yes, we are. We definitely are.
We are. Excellent.
And
I'm looking forward to that as well.
Perfect. So thanks a lot for coming. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. I'm TSG BigTime, aka Sean. Like I said, you can catch me at BigTime TSG on Twitter, on Mixer, mixer.com/TSG_BigTime. You'll be able to see this podcast on Podbean or YouTube, and I'm trying to work out the kinks, hopefully in the future, to host some live podcasts so we can get some Discord chat in here. And
yeah, that'd be great.
have some user feedback as we're going. That's always good. So
Yeah,
thanks.
and maybe we'll get on iTunes later. Sorry.
Yeah, it would be great. It would be great. Yeah. So thanks a lot, everyone. Any final words, Alex?
Just thanks a lot. I really enjoyed my time here. We got something really special brewing up over the long term, and I'm looking forward to more episodes in the future, man.
Frothy loins. All right, cool. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having you.
Thank you for having me. Yes.
TSG BigTime. Thanks for having me, guys. Bye.
Yeah, having you ahead.
But really, thanks a lot, everyone, for everyone who's listening and supporting me. And thanks a lot, Alex, for being here. I'll see you on the Wasted Years podcast, where I'm sure we'll have some interesting things to talk about that we didn't talk about here because we're different like that.
Yep.
And thanks a lot. And have a good one, guys. See you next week.
See ya.